It's the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast with Alex Trataros, John Meleka, and Raisi on the beat. Let's go.
Yo, what's good, everyone? Alex Trataros here with another Jets episode of the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast. And with me is always my buddy, my coach, pal, the man with a plan, the one and only, John Meleka. But before we ask John how he's doing, guys, we got to do a little housekeeping as usual. If you listen to this podcast, we're on all audio listening platforms. We're on Apple, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon, Alexa, Stitcher, you name it. We are there. If you listen to us on Apple or Spotify, please make sure to give us a 5-star rating. If you listen to us on Apple, please make sure to leave a comment. That helps oh so greatly. And guys, if you are big fans of Fanside and like reading their articles, we're also located there. We're on the Daily Knicks and the Jet Presser. If you want to listen to us on the web, we're embedded over there, so go check it out. We also got a YouTube page, Knicks, Jets, etc. period. Look for the page, subscribe, hit that notification bell. That way you know when a new episode drops. And when you watch a video, please make sure to hit the like button and leave a comment, because guess what? That just helps us out. We like to engage with you. It's the polite thing to do. And we want to know your takes on what we're saying. We like to engage with you. The last Knicks episode, guys have their thoughts on Emmanuel quickly and maxing out RJ and building around RJ Barrett. So if you want to get involved in those conversations, you know where to go. And Sublime Musics, thank you for always commenting. We love that paragraph on the last Jets episode. We really like it for the Jake Asman. So appreciate you too. Thank you for always chipping in. And then guys, we also got another podcast on the channel. It's called Winning Picks Weekly. John, video producer Greg, and now Chip Murphy. All right. These guys have been going down everything, gambling on everything. MLB, golf, the Masters is going on this weekend. They did college betting. I'm sure Chip wants to do some NFL betting when the season comes up as well. These guys will do whatever.
Best time of the year, bro. It's the best time of the year. UEFA
fun.
Champions League, World Cup winter. I mean, this is it, dude. I think if I'm sitting here, I just taught my dad how to parlay groups in the World Cup. He's having a blast over here, throwing Senegal in because they just, smacked Egypt. It's go time on Winning Picks Weekly, bro.
Yeah, for sure. You know what? It's there's two times of the year that's great for sports. It's October when you got all the sports. You got baseball, basketball, football in action, and then you got April. You got March, beginning of April, where you got college March Madness, right? NCAA basketball for men's and women. You got baseball. You got spring training in action. You got the NBA that's wrapping up.
Opening day week, baby.
Yo, you got a lot of action going on. You got the Masters that's usually right around the corners. There's so much going on. These are the 2 times of the year until the dead days of July and August when it's just baseball. So enjoy it, everyone.
Once in a blue moon, we even get a Knicks playoffs.
I don't know what that is.
So yeah, once in a while.
Don't even know what that is. But last and certainly not least, we're on all social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. We are there. John, my man, how are you doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Like you said, dude, we've turned the chapter of basketball. We are officially on to the Jets world. I'm definitely going to the NFL draft at MetLife. Little Jets party going on.
You're going to the draft. Awesome. You made that decision.
Hell yeah. It wasn't.
You're buying season tickets too? Is that happening too?
No, I was talking to Greg about it. There's 2 reasons why I'm not going with the season tickets, but I did think about it really hard. It's tough to commit 8 whole weekends because it's a weekend event. I know Saturday have some time, but it's hard to commit 8 weekends to MetLife. Plus, I'm definitely going to Green Bay and definitely Denver, and I'm thinking about Seattle depending on the schedule. So
there's a podcast you gotta record.
And I gotta work. And I got life. So there's a lot going on in the winter, man. Like you said, especially with the World Cup going on, it's tough. It's tough to commit red zone. I can't give up 8 red zones just like that. And then who knows, man? Who knows? Worst comes to worst, the Jets will win and take more money from me, right? Because I'll buy single game tickets, so it's fine. I'm down with it. I'm good, man. I'm ready, dude. I'm so ready for this draft, dude. April, beautiful, dude. The hope is so high. Every day, the hope, man. Like opening day, Jets draft. like the Knicks rebuild time because the
Well, if you're a Yankees fan,
over.
unlike our video producer Greg, who's joining us today, and we're gonna ask Greg how he's doing, who's a Mets fan. If you're a Yankees fan, you listen to Brian Cashman, who constantly brings up, "Oh, well, if the Houston Astros didn't cheat," it's like, yo, bro, shut up. Come on, man, that's so passe. Just like, can we let's focus on now. All right, we haven't done shit since 2009. Can we please just get back into the race of being what the Yankees are all about? Come on.
You don't have your 2017 championship ring?
Yeah.
It didn't come in the mail?
Sure. No,
I have a hoodie.
Thank you.
I have a hoodie. I'll bring it out next episode. 2017 champs.
I mean, you are Egyptian, so you are part of the continent of Africa. I'm sure they shipped all the
low blow.
But anyway, guys, we got
a Mets fan on, bro.
Oh, there it is. This guy's probably happy though. We got our one and only video producer Greg on camera with us today. Greg, what's going on, man? How you feeling today?
Feeling great. John, you guys talked about it, you teed it up. We did Winning Picks Weekly this week, so I've got very excited about baseball very fast. It came so quick with division, parlays, futures. I mean, you can't, with the futures and all that stuff, you can't sit around and wait. You got to look up, you got to research, you got to get going, figure out who's on what team, pitching staffs. As a Met fan, are they healthy? So, you got to look at all that stuff. So,
tell us about that. You want to touch on that real quick?
Dude, we're fine. We're not, we're not worried. DeGrom's going to be 4 to 8 weeks. He'll be back. He'll be throwing gas.
48 months or weeks?
Oh, it depends. I mean, we'll see. So, I'm excited, about the Mets season, obviously. A lot of people talk about DeGrom and Scherzer, which obviously two of the best pitchers in baseball. There's a lot of reasons to talk about them, but they made a lot of great moves, I think, with getting bats. And, one of the things that's tough about being a Mets fan is we just don't hit the ball and we don't score. It's tough to win every game with 3 runs. As Yankee fans, you guys put up runs. So,
Yeah. Let me tell you something about that. They're home runs or nothing. You can't win games like that. Right?
Yeah. So I'm hoping we get some consistent bats this year in the outfield and the infield. And overall, I like the moves we're making. I mean, we got Uncle Stevie here now. He's buying up everyone. He's sending out contracts left and right. You guys got Brian Cashman crying about 2017. It's a beautiful thing, man. It's a great time to be a Met fan.
What is it? Mr. Cohen is saying that games are going to be on SNY. Where is it? Where can you watch these games now? Where do you put them?
Amazon Prime, right?
Dude,
Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime, SNY. As long as my broadcast team is there, it's fine. They're the best in the biz. I love them all. So we'll be fine. We're not worried about DeGrom yet. He's going to take his time. He's going to come back. Last season, he screwed it up. He was great in the beginning of the season, got hurt late in the season. We need him for late in the season this year because we're trying to do some damage. So take your time. We'll figure it out in the first couple of weeks, first couple of months. We'll be right there in contention when it comes down to it.
Listen, this is all karma for your Chris Paul talk.
Oh, brother.
All karma for your Chris Paul talk.
Is this a pro Chris Paul podcast?
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
geez.
This is a...
man,
where's Chip?
I didn't know
man, get Chip on this pod. Where's Chip? Get Chip. All right. You want to talk about someone who's pro Chris?
We'll
Chris
talk
Paul.
NBA. We'll talk NBA later. We're here to talk about the Jets today. You see my background.
Yeah.
We're ready to go. We got green. We got white. We're ready to rock. I'm very excited about the season.
Speaking about taking time, let's talk about Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh taking some time to sit down for some interviews, right? So, John, I'm going to kick it off with you. What did you think about them today, huh?
Well, I mean, I'm not shocked by Saleh and Douglas being on the same page. I'm not shocked about Kyle Shanahan talking up the Jets, front office and coaching staff because, they're the same family, they're the same tree. I'm not shocked about anything that comes out right now surrounding, the Jets and all this news. The one thing we know about Joe Douglas is he keeps everything in-house. So when he speaks, you listen, right? That's what I love about this front office. So he's talking about, I want to hear Greg's thoughts on it, but they understand what they went into going into free agency, right? We had so many holes and we had to just plug in we have to fill in every hole just so we're not desperate going into the draft. Like, oh my goodness, if we don't get X, like if we don't get a wide receiver, if we don't get, an edge rusher, if we don't get a quarterback, it's over. If we don't get a safety, right, we have to draft Kyle Hamilton fourth, because if we don't get a safety, it's over. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna give up a 37 touchdowns to tight ends again, and here we go. So they're on the same page about being able to fill the holes and the kind of players that they're looking for. And Alex, you and I have been hitting on this for so long, and whether it's the Knicks and the Jets now, we understand what the front office wants. And for the Jets, they're very consistent in getting players who had the awards and were on the top of their conference, right? / team captains. We've seen in the recent notes, but also their work ethic. Like, it doesn't surprise me why they love Carl Lawson so much. Like, the guy, videos of him coming off his Achilles, and there was a note about a setback, and look at him working, right? There was all this stuff about Mekhi Becton with the setback, and look at him working. So I'm just excited about that. Greg, what did you think about our head guys, man? Do you finally trust in the Jets front office? Am I going to hear that from Greg's mouth?
You said it when the intro part. You were like, optimism's at an all-time high, feeling good is at an all-time high. I feel like the Jets every season, like, this is one of the best times of the year. But for me, it's the first time in a long time that I'm, like, really jacked up for it, because I finally trust the front office and the head coach and them coming together.
This is breaking news.
It's insane, but it's the first time in a decade that I feel real confident about.
Welcome to the program.
Yeah, about everything, about the whole front office. It's the first time in a while I'm not complaining about Todd Bowles last year, or Adam Gase last year, or Mike Tannenbaum, or Idzik, or whoever it is. God.
We're going to get to Mike Tannenbaum later, bro.
Yeah. So it's the first time in a long time that as a Jet fan, I'm not worried about the front office and the coach. And I think that they've done good steps. Joe Douglas in his first draft, it is what it is. We'll see how that pans out. Second draft, I think, had a lot better draft. Third draft now, we're not even there yet. And I feel very confident about the pieces that they've brought in. And my thing with both these guys is I really feel like they say what they mean, and they back it up. Joe Douglas has been clear he's not going to set the market for any free agent. So what did he do? He signed 4 veteran free agents with tons of playoff and winning experience. That's what we need. They also talked about finding guys with the right attitude that the Jets want to foster. And I love, for the first time in a while, I feel confident that the general manager and the head coach have a tone and an attitude they want the Jets to be with, and that they're making it clear to everyone in the organization, this is who the Jets are, this is who we're going to be, and this is how we're going to approach winning football games. So very excited about the interviews that came out on the Official Jet podcast. Very excited about the offseason so far and who we've picked up. And I can't wait for this draft. I mean, we're a couple weeks away. It's going to sneak up on us again, just like everything does, because there's so many pieces moving. So I'm happy we're here talking about it. I'm happy, we're going to have some more draft content coming out, because there's so many pieces. There's so many things that we can address. But to your point, there's no major hole that I feel like we need to figure out, where some Jets fans kind of still do. And I just don't see it. So we'll dive into all that. But I think we're in a great spot right now. The best spot we've been in going into a draft in a long time.
For sure. I am so happy. Like, insert verbal meme, Homer Simpson. Like, tapping the couch. That's that's me right now with Greg coming in. But I want to hear Alex's thoughts on that, dude. Alex, how are you? We didn't get your salutations and to open this pod. And how are you feeling about this Jets front office going into the draft? You call me Mr. Optimist, but I want to know what the Trataros thinking.
Cautiously optimistic, as I always am with the New York Jets, because I've been burned too many times, my man. But no, I like the fact that we hear that Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas are on the same page. I mean, that's something that you necessarily want to hear. I mean, unlike the Knicks, where you hear that there's sort of a disconnect between what Tom Thibodeau and Leon Rose and everyone else in the front office wants, which is not unnatural. That's even throughout any course of business where people are not always on the same page, and it takes sometimes in sports and off season to get back on the same page. But the fact that the New York Jets both have a GM and a head coach that are on the same page. I mean, we can go back throughout all the history, as we always do, right? whether it's like Rex Ryan and John Idzik, whether it's McHagnon and Todd Bowles, whoever, right?
Yep.
Adam Gase and freaking Joe Douglas. It doesn't. You just hear, or even Adam Gase and McHagnon, like
or
the
Adam
fact
Gase
that
and
we
Adam
have
I was Adam Gase and Adam Gase. Yeah.
Adam Gase and Adam Gase doesn't even know what's going on
Signed
with each
Le'Veon
other.
Bell for $1 million.
That was a tough week.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that he
man.
was our GM head coach.
I hate that
And
guy.
we had Tim Tebow as a quarterback. Like this franchise, man, they get you sometimes.
We've seen some things. We've seen some things as a franchise.
We've literally seen ghosts.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a fact. But no, the fact that they're on the same page, they have a strategy for how they want to attack free agency, how they want to attack the draft. That's all key components, because as long as they know what their strategy is together, it kind of helps with Robert Saleh with scheming for that defense, right? And giving Michael Ford an idea of how to scheme for that offense. And Joe Douglas has now the understanding of what he needs to stock for inventory, right? Do you want to go into the draft and go get a defensive back? Do you want to go into the draft and get an offensive lineman? Are we going to do that through free agency, which we did, right? We got Tomlinson. So these are things that we hear. It's just good. And this is why I'm cautiously optimistic, because I had the, we've had the faith in JD, John, you and I, since we started this podcast, right? And we knew that he was going to be the guy based on his pedigree, working with the Eagles. Yeah, I think he was with, correct me if I'm wrong, he was with the Baltimore Ravens too. But just the fact that he's been with top teams that have won Super Bowls, and now he's here and able to do that, that was that confidence. And now they have a guy who is, a leader of all men, as some people like to call him out there. Last season, we'll never, beginning before last season, we'll never forget. Never forget that one, John. Never forget that one. But he's a leader of men. People like him around the league.
What was your favorite Zach Wilson comparison? That he's off platform.
Off platform. That came out of nowhere. Never heard of off platform in my life. And then he could throw off platform. What the fuck is this shit? Off platform. Give me a fucking break. We just like it's just like any industry. Because like any industry, bro, it's like, we're gonna create this new terminology that no one has ever heard of, and we want to seem cool and intelligent. It's like, bro, just say he can throw off his feet, off balance, whatever you want to call it. That's what he's doing. No one needs this technical lingo they just created. That's what really grinds my gears, John. That's what really grinds my gears.
Listen, man, speaking of terminology and phrases, my favorite one, I think this whole offseason regarding the Jets is Zach Wilson is good. Have you seen those shirts going around?
Zach Wilson is good.
I love those.
But how
shirts.
about
the Braxton Berrios is good?
But how about the tweets? But how about the reporting of Zach Wilson? Well, before I begin to that, the last thing I'll say on the front office, the fact that they're all in line together, that's why I'm optimistic. That now we can go into this third season and be like, all right, everyone knows what it's doing. There's the expectation. That's why I'm cautiously optimistic, because we have to come out, start winning some games this season. That's why everything else on paper looks good, but now we got to start winning. But how about Zach Wilson, bro? Zach Wilson out here training with his wide receivers. We see even Denzel Mims is getting some love out there, running some routes. Look at that.
Texting the GM, apparently.
Yeah.
Messaging videos. I love that. I actually love that so much.
Maybe it's because he got clowned for that drill that he did last season, where he's just twinkle-toeing through the ladder drill, lackadaisical through running routes. Look, for him, your second overall pick, even if he doesn't want to be here and he wants to increase his trade value, you have to take this seriously. The average NFL contract is, once again, 4 years, I think, right? I'm pretty sure it's 4 years. And so he could be easily out of the league in no time. I mean, let's just look at Stephen Hill. Yeah, I mean, he could easily end up like that. No one wants to look at Stephen Hill, but hey.
I don't want to look at Smith Jr. I don't want to look at the other Smiths. I don't want to look at any Smith. No Smith.
Well, let me tell you something. If Nerlens Noel and Stephen Hill high five, does it break the sound barrier? They got stone hands. But no, man, like you're seeing that type of stuff.
Let's not trash on Nerlens Noel too much. He might be our starting center next year. So let's just hold our horses a little bit on all that.
All right. But yeah, it's a good thing to see that. It's a good thing to see that you see Zach training with his wide receivers, getting ready for this upcoming season, because even for Zach Wilson, right, we saw how off target he was, especially for the short routes and the intermediate routes, right? Like he's got a great deep ball, but between the short routes throwing the wheels and everything else, drags, like he wasn't connecting. Checkdowns, he was not connecting. So the fact that he's out there, it looks like he's put on some muscle too. Dude's looking pretty brolic right now. These are all good signs going into the offseason. What do you think, Greg? I'm going to go to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot to make about the big narrative. One of the big narratives for the Jets this offseason has been Zach Wilson needs to take a step. Zach Wilson needs to be better. I like the point that you made, Alex, about just Zach Wilson sometimes. It wasn't the quality of his wide receivers. It wasn't the quality of his offensive line. It was the quality of his throws, which I get affected by everything. But if he was putting the ball on target every time, making the right decisions every time. We saw some games, especially early in the season, where the decision-making was atrocious. So, I'm happy to see him working. I'm happy to see him getting the reps, but I also liked Robert Saleh's comment on it, which was take some time to work on yourself. Take some time. You don't always have to be working with wide receivers. You don't always have to be, on Instagram or Twitter throwing balls, doing this, doing that. You could take some time to really understand this playbook, really understand the matchups that you're going to be facing because you know who you're going to be playing. So really getting to know, the ins and outs of what you need to do day in and day out. So I'm happy with Zach Wilson. I'm happy with the improvement we saw last year over the course of the season. I'm hoping it carries into this next season. How we go about helping Zach Wilson take the next step, I think we've done some good steps. I'm excited to see what we do in this draft because I think there's a lot of ways you can attack that problem. It's not necessarily just drafting a wide receiver at 4 or 10 like some of these mock drafts like to say.
100%,
That's for sure.
man. 100%. This we're gonna get right into this wide receiver stuff. Right? We touched on weapons for Zach Wilson, and we mentioned all these wild mock drafts, and I think that the reason they're so wild is because they have us taking wide receivers at number 10 was wild enough. Now we have Mike Tannenbaum taking not only a wide receiver,
guy. And this is why he got
Ohio
fired.
State wide receiver, an Ohio State wide receiver at number 4, dude. If that happens while I'm at MetLife, dude, call paramedics. Like I need help.
It's not
This
just him.
is
It's
why
John
he got
McShay's
fired.
I know the fact that he was our guy for a few years scares me when you see this mock draft. So, oof.
But he's a salary capologist, apparently. That's what everyone says. That's why he's in the GM. Like apparently he's not the scout, and this is why. But
Yeah.
With the Jets and the wide receivers, we were kicked in the shin a couple times, this offseason. Whether it's, we had the DK Metcalf news that came out today. And to be clear, the report was, and which was confirmed by Connor Hughes, was the Jets put it out there that they're willing to give back the Seattle, 10th pick to Seattle for DK Metcalf. At the same time, the Seattle Seahawks have literally declined any trade offers for DK Metcalf, meaning you can deduce from that Seattle has declined the Jets' offer for the number 10 pick because they know it's there. You know what I mean? But it's not necessarily true that they called and had a discussion about it. So I want to be clear about that. That's, of course, coming after the Tyreek Hill situation where we had a trade for him. We also put it out there, what we're offering in terms of salary and in terms of assets in the draft. We have, now been rumored to trade for A.J. Brown, Deebo. We're lurking. Anybody who has any problem with your contract on a 1-year extension, we're here. We're willing to pay. Here are the assets. If you're somebody like DK, we'll give you a 10. If you're, maybe a lower guy that we need to pay more right away, we'll give you a couple seconds and a third. So it's out there. But I guess what is out there is that we need another weapon for Zach Wilson. So that's why we're here, right? That's why everyone's mocking all these wide receivers to so high. So we won't get into the speculation. We all want all the number 1 receivers. Yes, the answer is yes. Yes to all. Okay, I think we can all move on from that. But then the discussion comes in, and believe it or not, I do think that fans, especially as loud as Jet fans, do move the needle to some extent on how the draft goes, right? To some extent, not like a major, not even a half point, but like, just like 0.1. I
Yeah.
do think it has something to do with it. And I'm wondering if this is the draft that, Jets Nation implodes in the first round, even though it might be a good draft. As we saw, the Jets, yes, have an issue now being in the AFC East with Tyreek Hill, but also, Diggs re-upping and, the Bills doing their thing. The Patriots, of course, are always going to be there. They're going to be good. So Joe Douglas and Saleh mentioned that in order to, sometimes get rid of them because you might not have somebody that's going to cover Devontae Parker, on the Patriots and the tight ends. You might not have somebody that can cover Tyreek Hill. You might not have someone that can cover Diggs on every play. But if you get the quarterback on his ass, that you're good to go. So I'm wondering, guys, what you think the Jets are thinking more about. Do you think they're thinking about adding weapons? Let me phrase it like this. What do you think the Jets are more concerned about? Do you think they're more concerned about adding another weapon to the offense now? Don't forget we got the 2 tight ends, right, in free agency as well. Or do you think they're more concerned about, at this point, getting to the quarterback at edge or covering a wide receiver with the quarterback? Just because we have 2 picks right now.
There's no way. I will keep beating this drum. There's no way they're going to draft a wide receiver in this draft in the top 10. There's no one coming out that's like a CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy. All right, you're not getting one of those type of impact players. And I just don't see the Jets doing that. This is why they're going hard in the paint, trying to trade for like an AJ Brown, DK Metcalf. They're going for one of those guys because they want someone established who they know once they get on the field, they will be an impactful player. If they're going to do anything in the draft, it's to help Robert Saleh and go cheap on the defensive side to get to the quarterback or to protect or to have help in the secondary. There's no way they're going. If they reach for anyone in the top 10 and in wide receiver, I will be flipping a desk, all right, and throwing a remote through a TV screen because there's no way they should be doing that.
It's funny, Alex. Literally, if you ask Jets Twitter, it's the complete opposite of that. Right? You are in the complete minority here. If the Jets don't draft a wide receiver at 4 or 10, the Jets Nation is going to flip tables and blow a gasket.
Yeah, well, such as Jets Twitter. Can't go by Jets Twitter all the time.
Ergo the
I'll just let you know.
Yeah.
Greg, what do you got?
I think Alex makes some good points, and I think one thing I want to bring back to Alex, I think I owe you an apology with is it Christian Watson for North Dakota State?
Yeah.
I think we were doing our pre-Senior Bowl episode, and you throw him out there as a first-round pick. I think at the time he was projected as like a 5th-round pick. I was like, oh, maybe in the 2nd, maybe in the 3rd. He's up there as a first-round pick in a lot of these mock drafts, man. You got your eye on the ball.
Here's the thing when it comes to GMs. They'll watch a clip as soon as it gets to not GMs, I should say.
Yeah.
Owners. Because owners are going to be these guys don't watch shit, all right? They're going to watch the short
Woody
clips
Johnson.
that they're doing.
Sorry, Woody.
That's exactly what they're doing, bro. They're just like watching it like we are, like, oh my God, look at this. And they're like, that guy.
Yeah, give me that guy.
We need that guy.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, have you watched film on this guy? No. I like that guy.
I don't care that he's playing against Colorado.
Exactly. It's the same thing when it comes to the NBA and watching March Madness. There's a reason why Frank the Tank was taken so high in Charlotte.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I want to give you props for that.
Yo, he was nice. A beast on Wisconsin, bro.
Yeah.
But that's my point. It's like it just happens like that. That's the thing.
So I do have a question for you, though. I agree with you that there's not one of those like top end guys, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase type guys. Say that there is. Say there's something that we're missing, and we don't see Garrett Wilson the way we see, other people see Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson's going to turn out to be a Justin Jefferson, a 1,000-yard receiver his freshman year, and this awesome player, or Jamar Chase or whatever. If that was the case, if I could tell you we're getting Jamar Chase, are you spending a 4th-round pick on that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I will gladly spend a 4th-round pick if you're telling me we're getting Jamar Chase. There's no question about it.
So to you, it's not like a positional value, like, oh, you can't draft a wide receiver in the 4th. It's just that you don't see one of these guys being that guy, which I totally agree with, by the way.
Yeah, that's my thing. It's that why reach for somebody to be at a primo position, because when they come in, you're looking for them to be the number one wide receiver. That's what we need, right? Everyone's saying we need a number one wide receiver. We need a number one wide receiver. Okay. Do you see a number one wide receiver in this draft? That's an impactful player this season.
Yeah.
If the answer is yes, then go for that guy. If the answer is no, don't waste a top 10 pick on that guy. But if you do like him, then start trying to finagle and move back and see if you can go get him in that at the right spot. Not a top 10. Just don't be that team. We don't need like a Mitch Trubisky type draft. Okay. Yeah. We don't need that.
I agree with you 100%. I also agree with the idea too that I think the Jets kind of tipped their hand a little bit. I think this is, first of all, this is lying season. This is when people say Thibodeau sucks, can't draft him. Oh, I'm going to put a mock draft out where he goes 27. It's like, okay, whatever. I also think too that the
Jets
getting
drafted actually.
Yeah, yeah, he's a second round guy. But I also think too the Jets, it's like, don't listen to the talk, like look at the action. The Jets have shown they're willing to trade 2 second-round picks for Tyreek Hill, a top 5 wide receiver.
And pay $75 million.
Yeah. So they're willing to do that for a top 5 wide receiver in the league right now, established, will show up and will produce. There's rumors that they're willing to give a 10th overall pick for DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf is not in this draft. I don't know what the AJ Brown trade would be at this point, but for me, he's the ideal guy to go after because of his prior experience with Corey Davis. We saw what they did together on the field. His prior experience with Elijah Moore, we saw what they can do. So
Ole Miss, baby.
Yeah. I mean, God. So that was quite a receiving core. So
DK too. That's what's wild.
Yeah, insane. So I would love obviously any of these guys, these big body, big type wide receivers that we fill in as one. But I think that the Jets, I agree with all this, not taking a wide receiver in the top 10. I don't think they're going to do it just because, to me, it would be such a desperation pick. And I don't get that vibe from Saleh. I don't get that vibe from Joe Douglas. I think they've done a good enough job that they feel like they can double dip maybe at the wide receiver position early in the second round, and then maybe in the 4th round or 5th round, and round out this wide receiving core, which has 4 decent guys on it right now. We're going to need to add depth. You're going to go into the season with 6-7 guys or whatever it might be. So I don't see a wide receiver going top 10. I really hope we don't, just because I just don't see one of those guys. And the other thing too, to round this point out, there's so many good wide receivers. I can't tell you Garrett Wilson's going to be the best wide receiver in this draft. I can't tell you Olave is going to be the best, or Jameson Williams, or, there's just so many. Maybe the guy from Georgia, Pickens or whatever, he's going to be the best guy. He might not go to the second round. We just don't know. So why would you instead of
Christian Watson, like you mentioned,
Christian Watson, Drake London had 88 catches in 8 games. Sky Moore is a tactician out there. So, I mean, there's just so many people. There's guys for a while in the preseason stuff, we're talking about this guy from Penn State. I haven't heard his name one time. Yeah. So there's so many people that I can't tell you who the number one guy is. So why are we taking someone at 4? Really, why would we take someone at 10? Take guys that we need on other positions. My last point about this is to help Zach Wilson. So I want to tie it back to that. I think not having the 32nd ranked defense will help Zach Wilson a lot.
That's a fact, bro.
I think if we go hard on defense and we don't give up a million big plays and Zach Wilson doesn't have to score 30 points a game, who cares who he's throwing to? Put Braxton Berrios out there, Elijah Moore.
We got tight ends, too.
Yeah, tight ends. Dude, if we just have a 20th ranked defense, you know how much that will help Zach Wilson next year?
I'm definitely taking the over 5.5 wins if we have the 20th ranked defense.
Here, I said this. Shout out to our guy Richie Melora over at Jets Media, Knicks Media, Mets Media, all those medias. Richie does a great job.
Best New York team.
Anyway, we had Richie on here, and that's something that we discussed right before last season. Is that sorry, Rich, if you heard that, John's just talking about that for the Mets. Don't stress. For Zach Wilson to succeed, right? We talked about having a good defense to keep to help mitigate like the offensive woes that you're going to see. That way they could be in games. That way you don't have to rely on your rookie quarterback to have to win you these games and try to throw and use his arm to stay in there. Not every rookie could do that. Not every rookie is Russell Wilson coming to this league. And that's why I agree with you guys. Like, let's get a good defense. Okay. Let's not reach for a player in the top 10 that isn't going to be game day ready. Okay. We had Elijah Moore. Let's just even go back to Elijah Moore last season, right? Elijah Moore. We saw the crisp route running, right? Sure hands, all that stuff. Crisp, not crisp. But we were all hyped for him, right? And we even say that he could be a number one wide receiver. And we know, like we were touting him to be that. But how did he look at how he struggled at the beginning of the season, right? For himself to even get there. So it's not a guarantee that someone's just going to walk right in and just be that type of person. And even when I bring up people like a CeeDee Lamb, like look who else they have. They have Amari Cooper, right? You have so many other guys who are in those positions that can help just make it easier for a rookie coming in that you don't have to rely so much on them. So I would just go defense in this case, unless they really want somebody on the offensive line, but I don't think that's the case they're going to go. But just go for positional need at somewhere else where there's actual value if that's what you want to do. So that's my take on it.
Yo, I love this conversation because I agree with so many things that you guys are saying, man. I'm going to start with the number one thing I disagree with. If Chase was in this draft, and I love Chase going into it, and he's a lot like Stingley Jr., right? Ironic as it may be, them both coming out of LSU, taking that year off, being dominant on the field and at the combine when they do participate / pro day. I don't know if I would take him at 4. At 10, we're talking. If Chase is there and we're at 10, I'm taking him. But honestly, at 4, I'm still thinking about it, man. I still think I'd rather have Ikem, like a solid tackle or guard for 5 to 10 years. Like, comparison to Quentin Nelson, for example. If you give me Quentin Nelson, I'm taking that over Chase at 4. That's how I'm thinking about it. Okay. On the other hand, I agree with so many points you guys are saying. There are so many wide receivers at the end here that we could take. How many wide receivers are going to go in the first round? 6?
Yeah.
Fine, no problem. No
8.
problem. We have to.
There's 13 good ones.
Yeah, we have solid, draft picks. We have the highest draft capital. I've been saying this for a long time, since the 91 Cowboys, 3rd of all time. Right? We're definitely going to listen. This is my tinfoil hat, if you want to call it. John's hot take. We're definitely trading some picks. At this point, we have too much money in the salary cap dedicated to the salary, to the draft picks. Like, it just doesn't even make sense to use that many players. So we're going to move around. If we like someone, we might trade up a couple picks, right, into that between 10. They say that, the anecdote out there is from like pick 20 to like mid 3rd round. It's the same player. You know what I'm trying to say? It's the same guy, and you're kind of just fumbling in and out of what you need and who's kind of available, what you think is more valuable. So I'm going to circle it back. I just trust this front office. We see what they're looking for. I don't think they're looking for a luxury picks. They don't make luxury picks. They make solid picks, valuable picks, character picks. Right? That's why I think it's so funny that the number one thing, I'm starting to circle back on Thibodeau. I've been so out on him, but the fact that everyone is so out on him, I'm kind of circling back. The number one thing about the Jets is their character. And that was the only thing that's been out about him. And then it's being debunked 1,000 times a day that his character is bad. So I don't know. It's just so in the Jets, realm. Also, the Jets liked Ikem, and then all of a sudden he became the number 1 pick. And now he's back down to the 10th pick. So I still think there's some smoke there.
Dude, the issue with it, it's exactly what you said. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors going out right now, just so everyone can just shift the board and whatever favors them. And the Jets are doing it too. All 30 teams are actually. I don't know if the Texans are doing it. I don't know if the Texans are that smart to do it. Neither the Browns, but
Texans,
hey.
We're gonna go over it in our mock draft next week. But just as a teaser, the Texans have every single mock draft they look at, they have somebody completely different. They have Sauce Gardner, they have Kyle Hamilton, they have one of the tackles, they have a defensive end, they have literally everybody. Like, who don't they have?
And the reason because I don't think the Texans even know what they're doing. I think the Texans.
Well, I just don't think that we know what the Texans that we honestly. I think
that's my point. Hey, they're asleep at the wheel,
but they've
bro.
been operating good, dude. Honestly, Houston's been operating good. Like, I think we're confused about the Lions a little bit too. Like, where are they gonna go? Because they have so many options. because they have so many holes. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I think the Lions early on definitely shaped this draft a little bit. If they go quarterback early, it opens up so many
That
people.
would
If
be
they
crazy.
don't,
I don't think
it
they're
gives,
doing that.
I don't think so either. And it gives, I think there's I definitely think it's crazy in this quarterback class, especially with next year's class. I think someone's moving up for a quarterback. Where they move to and who they trade with, we'll see. But
Yeah, the Saints making moves like we mentioned last podcast.
yeah,
I agree. There's a lot of, for me, honestly, it's the Houston Texans. They shaped the draft for me. I think that
okay. They're at
Lions
3-13, I think.
yeah, but the 3, I just think that if they go Sauce Gardner, like our pick is set. You know
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say? There's no really question. We're gonna take Ikem because unless he goes 2, like honestly, worst case scenario for the Jets, which I
I
want
was
to go
just
over
about to
next
ask
week.
you, what is it? Because I got my worst case.
All right, so before I jump into that, I just want to make one last point about the wide receivers.
Yep.
Because before I forget about it, I want to say I agree with the fact that we're going to get 2 wide receivers. One, second round. We have a history of taking second round wide receivers. Hopefully this one pans out, right? Not like Smith, not like Mims. This one's going to pan out. Hopefully it is Watson. But also, I think that the second wide receiver, I maybe tinfoil hat again, is going to be the special teamer. Jones Jr. From Tennessee, who ran a ridiculous 40. And then we had Leon Washington at that pro day, our special teams coach. So one of our assistants. So that's just, I do think we are going to get 2 wide receivers, but I think it's going to be, like somebody, yes, solid on the outside, but also like a fringe slot guy / punt returner, / special teams guy, just to round that out. So my worst case scenario on the draft, and I've been thinking about this a lot, and this will be our last
Obviously.
segment. Yeah, obviously, yeah. I'm gonna go to the draft. It's gonna be a whole thing. It's a whole thing, Alex. But the Knicks are beating the Nets right now, so everything's okay a little bit.
Hey, the youth out here for the New York Knicks right now, they're beating the Nets. If they beat the Nets, I have a lot of things to say.
That
A
youthful
lot of
Taj
things to say.
Gibson corner 3, baby. That's what I like to see.
All right, as long as it's not like, as long as we're not getting Taj Charlotte Hornets where he's dropping 7 threes, where that was too much.
Or the
That's,
Magic where he took like 10 shots in a minute. But anyway,
yeah, that's too much.
we're on to the worst case scenario for the New York Jets at 1, 2, 3, and that is Aiden Hutchinson, Ikem, and Sauce Gardner. 1, 2, 3.
Really? That's your worst case?
That's my worst case scenario. Because if I'm the Jets, my hand is actually I've done everything I can do. Right, I backloaded my contract so I can trade for whoever I need that falls out in the NFL. I have all these draft picks I can trade up and down. I solidified my free agency so I don't have to make a desperation pick. And now all of a sudden I am forced into taking Tibbs. You have to take Thibodeau there. For me, there's no other person. Like you have to, right? You can't take Neal. I don't think that makes much sense.
I think there's some talk about that Walker.
Walker's good.
I feel like we're bleeding into next episode too a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's tighten this up, and we'll do it next episode.
For me, the defensive ends. There's a lot of defensive ends.
To me, worst case scenario is that it goes all defensive ends first. If it goes end, and then we're sitting there at 4.
Who are so you think it's gonna go? So for you, Hutchinson, Thibodeau, Walker.
Yeah, some combination. I mean, Walker's getting up there for the Lions in a lot of mock drafts, so I don't know if that's gonna happen.
I would love
that gives me worst case scenario because I think we screw it up. In that case, we're looking at Sauce Gardner, and pretty much every mock draft either has a wide receiver or Sauce Gardner. I don't know how you guys feel about that because I would like to wrap up with a little talk about Sauce Gardner and then a little talk about Derek Stingley because, John, I know you wanted to touch on that with his pro day. But to me, we're looking at those 2 guys and we screw it up somehow. We don't take either of those guys. That's my nightmare scenario where we don't take Icky we don't take Sauce.
I'm skittish of Sauce going to the Giants.
I'm terrified of what the Giants do because I just know they're gonna have a good draft.
They're gonna get Tibbs or Sauce, but I think they're gonna take Neal first. But I think because they're rounding back about, they're gonna end up with Tibbs or Sauce, and it is going to haunt us. Yes. And I was so excited when they got Saquon Barkley, and but I was so nervous that they were gonna take Sam Darnold. So I'm back on this. I hope they just make the wrong decision again. I'm waiting for it. Just take Neal, right? I'll be satisfied with that, and then we'll see how that kind of rounds about. In the teams.
Yeah.
But I agree with you that if they go 3 defensive ends, right?
Who they taking?
They go.
Who they taking?
Doesn't
Ikem?
matter what.
You think Sauce or
No,
Ikem?
I'm
taking the three
saying if
defensive ends.
if they're saying if 3 defensive ends are off the board,
Yeah.
as Greg was talking about, where you
Yeah.
have Hutchinson, Thibodeau, and Walker off the board, that sets everything up poorly for the Jets because that means you have Jermaine Johnson, who then has to be probably lifted up in value because if there's somebody else who wants them, because if we're looking at the New York Giants, because the Giants haven't drafted at that point, they've been mocking Trayvon Walker to the Giants. That means they may go Jermaine Johnson if you're the Jets and trying to get him at 10, and you're going to be forcing the Jets' hand to take him at 4.
No,
if that happens.
But
that's what I'm saying. I'm saying it would never happen. But if that's the Jet, if that's who the Jets are wanting, right? And that's who the talks have been about. That's gone at 10 then. So that means you got to pivot in a different direction that we're talking about. And if you're not really sold on all the cornerbacks, or even like if you don't really want Hamilton, that's where it starts getting murky. Because at some point, there always happens every year. Someone reaches because they're panicking.
Yes.
And you don't want the Jets to be that team. But if that's the guy that you want, you're waiting for, then you're like, that's between a rock and a hard place. Like, that's the guy I want. And the value I should be getting him at, he's not going to be there now. Now you got to, what happened?
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
I know, but that's the thing. But that's the thing.
Even if they love him, they get slaughtered at the stake, bro. They can't.
I'm with you though, Alex. I think if it goes end, defensive end, it kind of screws us twice in a way because we're not only are we kind of in a pickle at 4, not only are we probably not going to get our guy, Jermaine Johnson at 10, are we going to leave the top 10 with 2 overall picks and not get a defensive end?
Guys, I feel it's completely different.
Are we going to reach on someone else?
Head, if I'm in the front office, and God, I wish I could just be a fly.
Are we going to take George Karlaftis at 10 because Jermaine Johnson went to the Giants and all of a sudden we got this guy from Purdue that's being mocked in the 25th spot at the 10th
We are
spot?
not taking him. I think he's off our board. He looked so bad.
Yeah.
He doesn't have that great of tape to begin with.
Yeah. Actually, he just started playing football a few years ago too.
Yeah. Here's the thing, dude. If those, like, just sticking with your worst case scenario and why you guys are worried, if they take 3 defensive ends, like, there's so many players that now have to go between 4 and 9. And it can't be Jermaine Johnson. It just can't be. Like, I feel like Jermaine Johnson is guaranteed to be there at 10 for us.
Yeah.
So if you want me to take,
hey man,
I'm not even trying to be a contrarian here, honestly, because then they have the choice.
I feel
if
you
want to go Ikem or Sauce at 4. They have their own choice. Plus, Jermaine Johnson is definitely going to fall because there's a quarterback.
I'll just say this:
tackle.
Yeah,
there's
we'll
the wide
definitely dive
receivers
into it
everyone's
next week.
freaking out about. There's Kyle Hamilton. All these guys.
I'll throw your example back at you. Saquon Barkley being taken at 2.
That's fantastic.
That's a reach. That's a reach, isn't it?
So everyone, it was like 2, 3, 4. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't like crazy.
How are the Giants feeling now about it?
Well, they're silly. We knew that they were silly.
Okay, so that's my point. That's my point. You took a running back for a team that needed a quarterback. You're like, oh, we're going to take the running back because the running back's just so good. Yeah. They reached. Chicago Bears, Mitch Trubisky, reach. It happens. There's just going to be a reach somewhere in the first round. We're going to be like,
I can't wait for
word.
I can't wait for the Carolina Panthers to take Malik. It's going to be fantastic.
Let me ask you this question. Do you think, and going back to that Darnold draft, do you think what's his name? Josh Rosen was a reach when where the Cardinals took him?
That's Greg's favorite player in the NFL history.
Alex, I'm so happy you bring it up. I would love to bring up Josh Rosen and Josh Allen on every single episode because John and I, like, they talked about Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh, like, fist fighting over defensive alignment, offensive alignment. John and I fist fought over Josh Allen and Josh Rosen. So yeah. I'm so happy you brought that up. It was
Sam Darnold at 1, and then Baker Mayfield either at 2 or he's just going to fall off. And it was the Jets, either Josh Rosen or Josh Allen, right? And, of course, Sam Darnold was always our number 1 consensus.
Yep.
So we're silly about that, of course, already.
Oh, yeah.
And I was watching it because we knew that the Jets wanted – a quarterback. We were watching all those games because we're college football fanatics. We're watching Wyoming. You know what I'm saying? And we're like, this can't happen. Like, this guy is just not going to work. And then watching UCLA, like, dude, Rose is murdering. Like, he was looking so good. Looking at Matt Ryan out there. You know what I mean? So,
Bro, can we
He
look
just had
back at that
everything.
draft?
and the only
So let's
thing was
take it.
attitude. He's rich. I'm like, I don't give a damn, bro. I don't care. And then
Can we go?
I
Let's
saw
go down
the hot
memory
tub
lane for a little
picture.
bit.
I knew it was over.
And then the rocket, and then the website, draftjoshallen.com. I was obviously all over that. He was winning my heart, but then he went to the Bills, so I was like, perfect. I'm gonna hate this guy. I was gonna be right, and then now he's just haunting me as usual.
Yep, that's usually how it goes as a Jets fan. And that's why when you get in your 30s, John, which you've now entered, you see why it's just nothing
All
but
right, so speaking of gloom and
piss and
doom, let's
vinegar.
get us out of here.
But hold on, I just
your
want
worst
hold on, I
case
just want to go
scenario?
down memory lane for 1
Yeah.
second. Want to go down memory lane for 1 second. I just want to go down memory lane for 1 second with that draft. Remember how everyone was like, so many quarterbacks. You had Darnold, Mayfield, Rosen, Allen, Jackson. My God, man. That is a sad. If you're looking back on that draft right now, that quarterback
Sad
draft
affairs.
is pitiful.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Pitiful.
and I'm just annoyed that the Bills won it. The Bills won the lottery.
And then the Ravens did win too, in my opinion. Like Lamar Jackson's good.
Yeah,
Out of
we'll
all
see.
the
They
other
don't wanna
guys.
sign him.
Yeah.
And he doesn't win playoff games, but that's neither here nor there.
Hey, it's better than what Donald's done. It's
Of
better
course
than
he's
what
number
Baker
2.
Mayfield's done.
He's number 2.
Yeah, that's what I'm
but-
saying.
But I just don't, I don't know.
I'm not saying he's great. I'm saying he's good, bro.
I
I'm
don't know if I
saying
would
he's
draft him.
good.
I wouldn't take him over Zach Wilson. Hot take.
Yeah.
What sucks too is if you look at that top 10, every other player besides the quarterback was good.
I know.
Not Saquon, but Denzel
Dude,
Ward's
I hope-
good.
I hope
Riley
Saquon
Chubb's
ends-
good.
we are off the rails, but I hope Saquon somehow ends on the Jets. Fun fact about he's a huge Jets fan. His
Dad,
dad's
yeah, he's a big Jets fan.
Yep.
His dad's so
Love
much
Curtis
of a
Martin.
Jets fan. What happened?
They love Curtis Martin.
Yeah, of course, but they love the Jets so much that he refused to go to the Jets-Giants regular season game a couple years back because he was going to wear a Jets jersey. So he just didn't. So that's my type of guy, dude. I don't think Saquon. Like,
Hell
after this
yeah.
like, just for that, dude. Like, your dad's gonna be super hyped like that about your job. Like, you could come join. He's fine. He has nice shoes.
Let's go.
Yeah, Saquon's the man.
Let's go.
He's Penn State. But I just want to before we get out of here, Alex, what's your doom and gloom? 1, 2, 3.
I think it's what Greg noted
Really?
because I think it is, dude,
Okay.
because the way I look at it is that everyone's talking about defensive ends in this draft, right? And the Jets are
Seems
one
like
of
the
the teams that
quarterback
are
thing,
looking.
though. Right, like
But the Jets-
like the draft you guys just mentioned, like the bunch of quarterbacks like Rosen, Darnold.
Yeah,
Like,
but
doesn't it feel like the
diff-
defensive ends this year? All of a sudden, there's 5. And who
Yes,
knows?
and that's
all
the thing.
kind of the same. Darnold was the best. Hutchinson's the best. And then it ends up, who knows?
But that's the thing is because there's so many defensive ends in this draft that if the top 3 go, right, 1, 2, 3, even though I don't believe that would happen, if that happens, like it just shakes up everything else because just like that quarterback draft, right? We're talking about top 10. You knew a quarterback was going somewhere to a team that's needy and defensive end. You can always, I feel like you can argue that you can always take a defensive end because if you just have someone that can put pressure on the quarterback, and you can always upgrade that position because defensive ends get overpaid at some point.
Yep.
So you're always looking to not pay somebody and get the next best guy. If you're a team that's close to losing somebody and you're in that top 10 to get a defensive end, that's kind of
Opposite Lawson, too. Don't forget.
murky waters.
We have a free agent coming in.
But that's the thing. You want to pair someone with Lawson. You want to pair someone with Lawson, right?
Yeah,
Like,
especially
right.
a young guy on a smaller contract to go against his contract would be great.
Exactly.
And I'm glad that we had a visit with Devontae Wyatt, too. The interior defensive lineman from Georgia. If he sneaks into the second round. I mean,
Dude, there's gonna be
but
there's gonna be some
we're
great
bleeding into
defensive
next
linemen.
episode.
There's gonna be some
I
great
know.
defensive linemen in the second round.
But
I know.
But guys, let's get into these 2 draft topics. We have what was it? You said Stingley, and who was the other one that we wanted to talk about?
The 2 cornerbacks. Well, we talked about Sauce a little bit.
Yeah.
You want to get into
Sauce
Derek
Gardner.
Stingley Jr. Just because of his pro day today.
Yeah.
Absolutely murdered. I mean, Greg kind of is putting it off because we knew it was going to happen, but dude, it's really like Chase. He is reminding me of Chase, and I don't know if it's the colors, you know what I mean? But it's the same story. He was an absolute murderer when he played. He got injured, but he has a Liz Frank injury. right? Which I don't know, how that works. I know like LaMarcus Aldridge had it, for basketball. I don't know, what the
Look,
NFL
I mean, San
recovery
Antonio
stuff
Holmes
is.
had it when he was on the Jets,
Yeah, and that was tough.
and
Right?
you had did Mekhi Becton have it this year too?
I feel like Makai had it, but I
Yeah,
don't
he
know.
did. Yeah, he did. He did have a foot injury.
So, there's all that stuff. But when he came back, his pro day matched what we all thought. But dude, Stingley looked really good. I don't want him top 10, but Greg, I need to get your thoughts real quick on Stingley because we compare him to Sauce.
I was just
But
looking.
also the injury stuff.
I was just looking back to my text. First time I mentioned Derek Stingley, May 6, 2021. I said, guys, I've never been more serious about anything in my life. We need to draft Derek Stingley next year. That was the first time I texted about him. Looking at stuff last season, going into the season for this draft that we're talking about now. That's how I love this stuff. I love Derek Stingley. You can't take him. You can't draft him. Everyone's going to talk about the measurables. Everyone's going to talk about the year, which I want to remind people is 3 years ago at LSU. People are going to, chalk it up to COVID or Coach O or, championship hangover, whatever it is. The matter of fact is the guy's injured. And I just don't, the measurables are great. We all knew he was going to have a great combine, but I want to remind people again.
4.37 combine, bro.
What's up?
4.37. He's almost within 3 seconds.
But I want to remind people though, he didn't do it at the combine because he was hurt. He did it at the pro day later. That's what you're gonna get with Derek Stingley. When he's on the field, it's gonna be incredible. Is he gonna be on the field for week 3? Is he gonna be on the field for week 10 or week 14? Or in the playoffs, you don't know. When he's on the field, he is going to be amazing. If he comes out and he's healthy week 1, everyone's going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe we didn't draft this guy. He's going to get hurt. It's going to happen just because that's just what happens in the NFL. Man, it doesn't get easier when you move up to the NFL. Guys don't get slower, they get faster. Guys don't get smaller, they get bigger, they hit harder. He's incredible, but he's injured. So, who's also incredible though? Sauce Gardner. He's just as good. I don't care what anyone says about Derek Stingley. Sauce Gardner is just as good, if not better. So take the guy that's not injured if you're going to take someone, in my opinion. Almost a year ago, that text.
I know how Greg feels about injured players, and especially in the draft. I feel you. I'm not taking him top 10, but if they were trading back into the teens, for whatever reason, like say we get Ikem, then you want to trade one of the tackles, and a late pick to get back into the first round for top of the first round for Stingley. If you get Ikem and Jermaine Johnson, and now you're walking out with those 3, like sign me up, bro. Sign me up.
What position do you want? What you don't want Stingley in the top 10?
No, because
where would you?
I want either Sauce if we're getting a DB. It has to be Sauce in one of those because he's not injured. So if we're doing top 10, it has to be Sauce. But I'm still on the Ikem, Jermaine Johnson. I could be convinced that Tibbs is in there, but really it's those guys for me. I really don't think to just look at anywhere else if we stay put.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's all because of Stingley's injury history that you keep preaching every episode, even though
top 10, you just can't do it. You can't do it. You can't draft a cornerback. You can't draft the second cornerback in the draft that's injured. And number 10, look at Jace Horn. I love Jace Horn. I was screaming about Jace Horn all year, dude, but he's injured. And you saw what happened. He was on the Carolina Panthers early. I loved him. I was like, oh my God, we're so dumb, right? And then he got injured. But then there's Trey Smith, who was injured, and everyone's laughing at me. We can't draft him. Turns out to be really good on Kansas City in the 5th round, the guard from Tennessee. So, there is the opposite side of it, but he's a 5th round pick, so who cares? It's not a top 10. You know what I'm trying to say? You can't draft someone top 10 injured. You want to give me, like Jace Horn, what was he, in the teens, right? Or in the 20? No problem. I'll take that.
I feel you. No, I hear you on that. Your top 10 guy has to be relatable. It's like going to the NBA draft. It's like Michael Porter Jr., right? No, but it's like
develop nothing.
But it's like Michael Porter Jr., right, in the NBA, where you don't want to take an injury-prone guy in the top 10. Like, he's a lottery talent, but you don't want to take him in the top 10 of the lottery. And I feel you on Stingley. He's injury-prone, talented dude, like showed out, but
also
it's just such a risk because if you don't have him, like, then what's the value? And, you know, like, your top 10 dude, I'm expecting this guy to start.
Yeah, all season.
And I'm expecting you to play many games. Yeah. So
also the other thing
I feel
too,
you
if Sauce Gardner goes and we take Stingley at 10, Trent McDuffie's coming off the board a couple picks later. He's amazing too. Like, it's kind of like the wide receiver thing where it's like there's not. I mean, I think
Andrew Booth was my guy, and then he got hurt a little bit, so I'm kind of worried about
there's
him
other.
now,
I
too.
think McDuffie's obviously a step down from Stingley and Sauce Gardner. So, but you know, there's other good guys there too. I also think the Jets have talked up DJ Reed a ton. I think one interesting note about that is they were very quick to say that Hall and Eccles are more 2 and 3s. And then in the interview with Robert Saleh this week, he mentioned that DJ Reed, and he actually took blame for him in San Francisco, saying that they put him in the slot because of his size as a nickel corner. But he's more of a, quote, outside DB, and he's shown it. He never committed to him being a number 1 DB. He said outside. So I think that's something, maybe I'm getting a little conspiracy theory with it on it, but I think there's definitely a play for us to take Sauce Gardner. All the mocks say that we are. I just don't know about Derek Stingley.
Yeah, this is going to be the interesting part for the New York Jets when coming for draft, because we do know that they need help in the secondary, but
We need help everywhere.
this is what I'm
But
saying,
it's not
man.
desperate. It's not desperate, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
this is-
Nothing is desperate.
I don't think so. Joe Douglas has not shown that he's a guy to reach for somebody,
Yep.
and he hasn't reached for anyone that's injury prone either within these last couple of drafts. So I'm going to, I mean, we can look at Ashton Davis, who has an injury history right now.
I also think you can look
And-
at Becton, man. If Becton's hurt consistently, and then also you go out there and take Stingley and he's injured consistently, it's like, dude, you can look
Yeah,
at Joe
it's a bad
Douglas
look.
and be like, what are you doing, man? We got first round guys
Yeah,
who
it's a
can't even
bad
get
look.
the field.
Yeah, it's a bad look.
Facts.
So
Uh,
yeah, no, it's a bad look. So I don't see if
You got to go
I,
safe.
I,
choices,
I
bro.
agree.
Top 10, you got to go safe.
Yeah, no, it has to be safe. But I agree. Like, you could see him draft. Like, I could see if they really want. This is what I'm talking about. Like, if you really want somebody, this is where you got to figure out the value. Even like a wide receiver, you got to trade back. Like, figure out where you can go maneuver and get some of those guys. Don't reach for the sake of reaching.
yep.
And the Jets so far in these past 2 drafts under Joe Douglas have shown that they're not guys to reach. So I'm pretty optimistic that they, whatever words you want to use, will not go in that direction.
Yep.
Pronoun.
But yeah, pronouns. All about the pronouns. But guys, I think this is a good place to wrap it up. Great discussion. We can get into our mock top 10 draft next week. But thank you everyone for tuning in for another Jets episode of the Knicks Jets Etc. podcast. You know what to do. Make sure to subscribe. We're on all audio listening platforms. We're on Apple, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon, Alexa, Stitcher, you name it. We are there. If you listen to us on Apple or Spotify, please make sure to give us a 5-star rating. If you listen to us on Apple, please make sure to leave a comment. We'll read it. That just helps oh so greatly. Guys, like I also said at the beginning, if you're a big fan of Fanside, you read the Jet Press or the Daily Knicks, you can find our podcast there and the embedded. We're embedded, I should say, in the website. So because guess what? We're partnered with them. So that's why you can find us over there. Also, we're on YouTube. So make sure to type in Knicks, Jets, ETC period. Subscribe, hit that notification bell. That way you know when a new episode drops. And when you watch a video, hit the like button, leave a comment, engage with us. Let us know your thoughts and opinions. Add to the conversation that we're already having. We love to hear what you guys think. We always appreciate and we love interacting with you all as well. And while you're over there, we got winning picks weekly. John, video producer Greg, they usually go down the NFL slate. Now you got Chip. Chip's been joining these guys. They're going over golf. Masters going on. College basketball, as I said. Men's, women's, March Madness. Major League Baseball. My goodness. I'm sure they're doing NBA stuff as well.
Oh, we talked
guys,
NBA.
if you need
we talked NHL for a second. We talked soccer.
futures,
Soccer.
Oh.
as Squidward would say, future.
We got it all covered.
Yeah, you guys just go over there and you guys you'll have a good time. All right. But make sure to bet responsibly.
Of course.
And then last and certainly not least, Please make sure to follow us on all social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. We are there. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in for another Jets episode of the Knicks, Jets, Etc. podcast. Knicks are up 65-50 on the Brooklyn Nets. You know why? Because the Knicks are good with the young kids. Let's go. We out.
Let's go. Let's go, Jets. Let's go, Knicks, bro.